to use everybody's video will be too much. Yeah, that could be. So whenever there's a connection problem because of everyone's sharing their video, you should of course switch it off or limit it to certain time slots where you want to have interaction. Okay, so video usage, really easy. You already found it, I guess. It's down left, so you can stop or share your video. And of course, I don't know if you have already played around with it. There are some video settings and some virtual background settings. And I will just show you a short insight on what you can do with it. Because me personally, I have a lecture where we have some sort of role play or let's say simulation of a company. And I always have to switch roles between being a teacher and being the customer of a company. And this is why I invented my personal virtual background, which looks like this. And there you can see it's somehow showing the company, and there it says, welcome to our customer meeting. And whenever we show this virtual background, I'm in the role of the company. And whenever I switch it off, which I will do right now, I'm back in the role as a teacher. I see everyone's playing around with it. That's great. So you can, of course, also hide your background if you feel it's nicer when your students don't see your home. Okay, so really easy for introduction, show or hide your video. To go on, we will go to the next topic, sharing your screen. Currently, I'm sharing my screen. And you can see right now a presentation, which is actually the most important or the most frequent use case. So you can share presentation slides, informations, you can also share videos. So everything you could basically do in your lecture or your lesson with PowerPoint, you can also do it here, which is very good to let someone follow you through a process. So I could also share my screen and just show what I'm doing on my desktop or where I'm clicking, and everyone could follow, which makes it easier. You could actually also note something on a whiteboard. I don't know if you've heard of it, but Zoom enables you to write freely on a whiteboard or to connect your iPad or whatever you have to draw something. And you can, of course, have a look at other screens. So you can also enable other participants to show their screens. How to use it? You just go to share screen, and then there's a window that opens and it shows different possibilities. You can either show your different screens or different presentations, and you can also share the whiteboard. We will do it later together. Okay. The last part for frontal teaching is the Manage Participants button, which is actually really important because it makes a lot of sense when you are alone in your lesson as a teacher and you might lose the overview of different thumbs of people doing something. There are other kinds of interactions and reactions that you could show. And how to use it? You could go to Manage Participants, and there you see the list of participants. And I would kindly ask you to follow me right now. So there you have a list of, right now it should be 23 participants. And you can show different reactions. For example, the yes button, or you go to more reactions, and then you have thumbs up, thumbs down, clapping, I need a break, or something else. I would like to try it out with you. So please try to show a reaction right now. What's really important with these reactions is that I don't know if you saw that these thumbs, they disappear after a while, but these reactions, they do not disappear. You have actively, you have to click on them actively to make them disappear again, because otherwise it's for me a sign that it's still something is good, or please be slower. And if it's still valid, I can just see it. So whenever you show a reaction and you want to hide it again, please click on it. One important thing, there's you can actually agree on it with your participants. For example, to clap could be a sign for like hands up, I have a question or something, so you could just see if everything's fine. Okay, so please click on your reaction. So it's gone. for now. That looks good. Okay, and we go on for the tools for interaction, which is much more interesting. So the interaction possibilities are actually using the chat, create a poll, or create breakout rooms, which will be the most interesting part of today's meeting, I think. But let's start with the chat. Why to use it? Especially if you're presenting, you might not be able to track everything that's happening. And if you have a co-moderator or co-teacher which is helping you, it makes a lot of sense that they take care of the chat. So whenever there's a question or someone has audio problems or cannot talk, they can still participate. How to use it? There's the chat function, and you could basically choose if you want to write to everyone. So you could just say hi or something, or you can choose one of the persons that are joining the meeting. So I could basically type a message now to everyone, or I could write, for example, to Amida. Hey, Armida, this meeting is so boring. And Amida...
It's not true. It's not true.
But right now, you should see it, Amida, no one else, right?
Okay, yes.
Okay, so if your participants or your pupils are maybe bored, they can chat to each other without you noticing it. Can be also a good option.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. So that's the chat. I'm sure you're already advanced with this. And we go on with creating a poll. A poll is actually a good thing to get a quick response from all participants, which is not related to thumbs up or thumbs down or be faster, be slower. And you can directly share the results with all participants. And the good thing about it is that you can create it during the meeting or even beforehand. So you can really create your lecture before and maybe also create a poll. Always on the down part of the slide, you can see the link for further videos that help you if you want to create a poll and you forgot maybe how to do it. You can just click on the link and there's a nice video that explains how to do it. So how to use it is really easy. There's the polls button and you click on it. And this I actually did before our meeting. So I'm directed to a web page and I can create a title for the poll. And then I can create a question and different formats of answers. And then when I click on it here in this meeting, I can directly use the poll that I created. And I will do it right now. So you should be able to see a questionnaire right now. And I would like you to answer. And I can actually track how many of you answered already. So I have an overview. Right now there are 3 people, 7. It changes fast. So we can really wait till everyone answered the questionnaire. So 67% said polls are great and very useful for me. Does any one of you have an example of what a useful poll could look like?
In the past, we have used to obtain some answer to a question. We used Mentimeter. So
Mentimeter.
Yeah, Mentimeter. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, because we didn't know that there was possible also this chance by Zoom, but I think this is it is integrated in the system, yes. So it's absolutely easier to the other to change the tools. It's absolutely useful. Yeah.
I'm actually not. There's a question if poll can only be used in the paid version, and I'm actually not sure because I'm using the paid version, which makes it easy for me. I'm not quite sure about it, to be honest. But still, as Amida said, whenever you are using the free version, you can still use other tools which enable you to create polls, like Mentimeter, for example.
Yes, okay. I've read some comment. Okay, one from Jochen,
Mm-hmm.
and it says, okay, if pupils know the properties of some minerals, yes, I think we can use this
Mm-hmm.
kind of interaction to ask some simple question, maybe at the beginning, to understand what the pupils already know about a topic, or
Yeah,
to understand if they have got the key concept. And so I think it's something that can help to be more interactive,
yeah,
yes, with pupils.
I
Yes.
agree. I definitely agree. Okay, so that's all I can say right now about polls. Actually, the really best thing is just to try it out. I guess it's good to have an overview of what is possible in Zoom, but you will directly learn how easy to use it is when you just try it out yourself. Does the result of the poll remain somewhere in a file? I guess yes, you can. Yeah, so I closed the poll and I can always relaunch it or edit it, and I can also, I guess, save it. That's possible. Okay, any questions to that? Otherwise, I will go on.
Ilaria is asking if it is possible to prepare the poll before the lesson.
Yes, it's possible. So you can always enter your meeting as soon as it's scheduled, and then you can click on the link and you can create everything within this meeting. And you can also have several polls at the same time, or show different polls after each other. Sometimes it makes sense to hide it before you show the next question, but you can always prepare beforehand. And it's actually a lot more professional, because otherwise you're just typing and the students get bored or they do something else. You know how fast their attention span is or short. Okay, so let's go on to the next thing, which is creating breakout rooms. I'm not sure whether you use small group work in your lessons, but I'm quite sure that most of you have already done it, because it's a really intuitive thing to split people into smaller groups so they can work with each other, sorry. And you can enable students to discuss specific questions in smaller groups, and you reduce the complexity because you can enable one-to-one interactions, and people who are maybe shy to talk in a big group, they can talk to each other then. And this is possible with Zoom and within Zoom. How to use it, you can see it here. There's a breakout room button, and you can either automatically or manually create breakout rooms. So you see a list of participants, and you can break them in as many rooms as you wish. You can also put everyone alone in a room, which does not make a lot of sense, but you can still do it. And then you can either just call them breakout rooms. This is the default name of the room, but you can also rename it to have funny descriptions of the breakout rooms. I'm trying to, yeah, there's the chat. You can assign people. So whenever you have it manually, you can actually say, okay, for breakout room 2, I want to assign, with this example, it's Art, Heather, and Marco, and they all should be together in one room. And then you have different breakout rooms and different names, and you can, of course, also rearrange the names and the groups. Whenever people are in their breakout session, they can, if they have questions, invite the host to their breakout room to get assistance, which is actually really useful, because whenever people are going to their breakout rooms, you lose the connection somehow. But you as a host, so as a teacher, you can actually access their meetings, or they can invite you to come. There's a question in the chat. The poll is not anonymous, that's right, but you can make it. So you can hide names if it's needed. For the host, there are different options for the breakout rooms. You can click on these different parts and allow participants, for example, to return to the main session whenever they want to. So maybe if they fight or they discuss a lot and they want to go back and get some help, they can do it, but you can also say like, okay, they have to come back after 5 minutes, and they get a reminder, like a countdown timer 60 seconds before, and then they automatically come back to the main session, which is great because I don't know if you remember it or if you had the situation that in a seminar you say like, hey, you have still 1 minute, and after 1 minute, no, I still need some time. Yes, I also need some time. And here actually they just come back. So it's automatically chosen that they have to come back. And of course you can have different timings here. And right now I would like to try this out with you. And I will assign you to different breakout sessions now. And I would like you to answer these questions. First one is, what are your experiences with online teaching? And what are the 3 most important things to consider when teaching online? And just to inform you beforehand, I will ask afterwards what your discussion was about and about your 3 things that you have to consider. So I will now split you into 5 rooms automatically. There will be 4 to 5 participants per room, and I will see you back in 5 minutes. Are there any questions before that? Perfect. Then see you later. Welcome back, guys. And right now we will go to the whiteboard. There's a chat. Sorry, I have to leave. That's no problem. Thank you that you were there. So now you should see my whiteboard. Can you all see it?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So group 1, I don't know who was in group 1 right now, but maybe you can voluntarily raise your hand and tell me your results.
It was Jochen, Giovanna.
Okay, now, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you and Renata, please agree who is speaking.
No, Jochen, because he has the most experience.
But the most
Okay.
experience means that I have done it 1 time.
That's okay. That's okay.
And it's even some years ago, we had a project doing seminars via Adobe Air for pupils. And we've done several webinars. And as Leah mentioned right from the beginning, my hardest point were when you give a presentation and you don't see the faces and you don't have the reaction, do they follow? Really, that makes it hard to speak in a precise manner and to keep into interaction with the pupils. And Karin from Estonia told us that the pupils in Estonia have lots of experience with different forms of platforms, and a colleague of her gives a lesson on circular economy right now, and they have different exercises, and the pupils are assigned to special tasks. And as I got it, it's difficult to reflect and to get the reaction of the pupils, what they have done. And well, in my point, a last point for the first group, you can't do any kind of experiments with the pupils. And normally this has been one of my advantages while I've been in school. So this is hard when I want to do this in Germany, when I only give a PowerPoint presentation via a webinar.
Okay. Thank you. Who was in group 2?
The next time, Leah, you had to do the breakout section manually, so we know the list.
You're completely right. That was my mistake. Okay, but Amida, would you like to go on? It doesn't matter if you're group 2 or 3 or 5. That's okay.
Okay, I was involved in the group 4. Okay, the group 4. Okay, we absolutely agree with the first point. So to see the faces of the participant is something that absolutely is an help for the speaker. for the person that give the lesson, and so also it an help to create an interactive environment.
Mm-hmm.
So so this is absolutely a good point. Okay, so the engagement, obtain the engagement of the student by using, for example, poll, quiz or something. Not too much, but something to change the rhythm of the lesson, we can say, no?
Mm-hmm.
And yes, interactive lesson, increase the curiosity. Yes, okay, these are the main points, I think.
Perfect. Thank you, Amida. Who wants to be next? Doesn't matter the group.
The third group, where is the third group?
Hi, this is Antonella.
Hi, Antonella.
Hi. And I was part of the third group together with Ilaria, Alberto Zanelli, and Corina Pace.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the pronunciation, sorry. I mean, none of us tried to did an online lesson,
Mm-hmm.
except Alberto that ran a workshop, a webinar, but with business person. So we are here to learn, I mean, to catch up as much as possible the tips and insights to organize an online session. And I think that in the next 2 weeks, I will have the opportunity to have an online class with pupils from primary school. And I think that for me, the most difficult part will be to maintain the attention of these little kids. So I think that it's important to have some, as Armida told us, few pulls or quizzes to take the attention and try to have fun of the lesson. And I think also the time, I mean, the duration of the lesson, you have to adjust if your audience is made of pupils or higher students. I mean, I think that we will go for 30, no more than 30 minutes of online class with the kids.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So one more input, then I leave you.
Okay. I don't actually know what group we were. And
okay.
we had voted Renata to speak, but she's keeping herself muted.
No, I just wanted to start, but didn't find the icon. Go ahead. Perfect.
Thank you.
I don't like these undemocratic votes.
It was very democratic. 3 of us voted.
Okay.
But obviously things are mentioned. The group hadn't got a whole lot of experience, a little bit of experience, but what we talked about is the preparation. So the time you put into designing whatever online course you're going to have and making sure that you're really aware and familiar with the functions and the functionality of the tool you choose to use. And that it might be a good tip to test it, to bring it on a test run before you give it to the students, just to see, is everything running the way you visualized it in your head?
I agree, yeah.
and we said also to know your audience, so really know who the audience it is you're giving this for, so that you can really tailor to their needs. And preparation testing. Did I miss out on anything? I was with Alberto, Renata, Sylvia, and Luke.
The action.
The reactions, which is mentioned already, that in the absence of that, devise some way to try and get the feedback.
Okay. Perfect. That sounds good. Thank you, guys. I will share the presentation again. Hopefully you can see it. Is everyone able to see the presentation again?
Okay.
Yay, everyone got it with a thumbs. That's perfect. Thank you. Okay, I have not many new things. You have covered a lot of the things that I thought are maybe important for you as teachers, but I will shortly present what I collected for you. So I divided it into two parts. Of course, you can also have online teaching without these online meetings, which is mainly the that you're providing teaching materials. And there I find it really important to give clear instructions, because it's always important to put yourself into the shoes of your participants. So how would they get what you want from them? Is it clear to them what you actually asked for, or is there any question? So remember that they're sitting home alone. Maybe they don't have anyone to ask, like, what shall I do right now? And maybe it helps when you're writing a text or an instruction that your imagination is to have a conversation with them. So really to have a kind and warm style of writing, and to introduce a new topic could be way different than just reading a textbook. The second thing is it makes sense to use a learning management system. I guess all the people in university are familiar with it. It could be like something with like Moodle, or kind of a Blackboard online tool. And there you can collect different kinds of content, different kinds of formats. And actually it makes it much easier to communicate with your students. You can store informations, you can store Word documents or files. And of course, it's also important to think about how do you want to deliver your teaching material. And sometimes it makes a lot of sense to just provide texts and resources or videos. It mainly actually makes sense if you want to deliver new information, so everyone can try to read the information at their same learning pace somehow. So if you have a text or an introduction to a new theory, it makes a lot of sense to give them a video or to give them a text file, so they can really read it carefully, and everyone can have the time they need to get what the content is about. But sometimes it makes more sense to discuss things, or to say, hey, now you got an introduction to the theory, let's discuss about it. Let's have a conversation about it. You can ask questions. I can tell you more in depth how you can work with the topic. And it's a thing of synchronous or asynchronous communication. And sharing text files does make a lot of sense, but not always. So for the case that you just want to share some content or Word files or something, please always try to add visual input. So images, pictures, videos, because our generation, and I would say I'm still part of that generation, is much more visual. So people are learning with videos rather than reading textbooks, or they're looking, I don't know, my nephew, he's just looking at YouTube when he wants to learn something new instead of just reading or trying to find a book about it. And that's really interesting, and that also changes the way how we should deliver content. I'm trying to read the question at the chat, sorry. Can we embed some other programs into the presentation like Kahoot during teaching on Zoom? Yes, of course, because in Kahoot you can share a link of a questionnaire, or in Mentimeter or something else, and you can always share the link in the chat, for example, or you share your screen, and everyone is able to participate in other tools as well. So for the other case, when you're not providing teaching material, but you're trying to do an online meeting, which is, for example, the case of today, the most important thing is to show up. So all of you said that it's so important to see people's faces and to interact with them, but you will never achieve it if you're not showing yourself. So I guess all of you are somehow enjoying teaching, I hope so at least, And if you do so, usually you're trying to make it a lot personal, a lot somehow also to have an emotional connection to the students. And this is really important also in online teaching. So just try to keep on showing your face. Be yourself is also something which is really important, because sometimes it's hard to deliver your passion for your topic in an online session. And whenever something gets wrong or you're trying to be so professional, people tend to get really instructional and strict, and they try to make everything right. You can also fail. That's completely fine. No one is perfect in these online meetings, and sometimes sharing doesn't work or your video doesn't work. That's completely okay. Just try to be yourself and stick to the method that you would use in personal teaching as well. I'm answering the chat afterwards, because without a co-moderator, it's so hard to read and present at the same time. I'm sorry. And if you have an urgent question, please raise your hand, and then I can see that you have a question. Okay.
Lea, there is a question from Patricia about the whiteboard.
Yeah, Patricia, can you unmute
write?
yourself and ask the question?
Yes. I hopefully, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, the question was that if we are teaching something, then where we are waiting for some kind of reactions from the participants, and we would like them to write on the whiteboard at the same time, parallel as everybody can see what we are taking on the whiteboard. So how it can be done?
I guess you need to use a different tool than the whiteboard in Zoom, because there it doesn't enable any interaction. But you can, of course, also try to enable them to just unmute and to ask a question. But I'm not sure if it's working to
because I'm just asking because there was another meeting or some kind of lecture, a session, and there was somebody who can take on their notes on the whiteboard, which was shared by the presenter. That's why I'm asking.
Let me check.
So probably, sorry. That's why, and it was Zoom, if I remember, on the not bad way. So I'm just asking that probably you know the way how it can be done, but if not, then skip it. I don't want to take the time.
I actually don't find any way to do it, to be honest, but if there is a way and I find it out, I will let you know.
Oh, there you did something there.
I have just one question.
Okay,
the RWTH Aachen bought the software for the institute, and the students are required to buy it for themselves, or do you give only lessons which are not more than 40 minutes? Was the free time?
We have the license where we can have longer meetings than 40 minutes.
And the students, they have to buy a license on their own? Or it's
no. If you are a host, you can just invite people, as I did right now, and they can join your meeting. So you, for example, you don't need a license to join my meeting.
The restriction is only for the hosts, not for the participants?
Yes.
Okay. And second point, in the US, there has been a lot of discussions about Zoom bombing. Has this been a problem at the RWTH Aachen, and is the password protection enough?
It's hard to say. Of course, there are some issues with Zoom, and I guess it's maybe not the perfect platform, but to be honest, and as Pontus already said, it's the best one that's currently available. And I guess you need to find your way and your method how to deal with these tools.
At our university, the Multimedia Center preferred Big Blue Button. I've only heard the name. Do you know difference, and why is Zoom better?
I didn't use Big Blue Button yet, but someone recommended it to me as well, because it's a free tool and it has actually quite the same functions. But to be honest, we were asked to use Zoom. We have the license for it, and this is why I'm using it.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. No worries. Just two more points to that. I hope you can all see the presentation again. That looks good. Okay. So I guess this is the most important, but also the most critical point, to make class an inviting, pleasant place to be, because in personal teaching, it's so easy to create a space, an atmosphere for pupils or for students. And in online teaching, we have to use tools to help us to do so. So you could use plenty of visuals, media, interactive tools, learning activities, also to maybe use the digital skills of your students, and also to give them the responsibility to try out some new things. And of course, if you make it enjoyable, students will show up, and they will maybe not hide themselves, but also join and actively take part in your meetings. This is something, what I have to admit, you have to commit to continuous improvement, because you will never do it right from the first step. There will be always mistakes, learnings. There will be also a need for some time to get used to the tools that you will use. And I can just encourage you to invest a little time into developing as an online teacher, because this is nothing we can do from the first moment. It's really some work to get there. And I guess even small efforts can have big impact. And I have here a link for a webpage which gives some useful tips and hints on pedagogical practice, also for online teaching. So if you just have a look at this webpage and you just try to figure out what method is maybe useful for you or what you could use for your teaching, this is really highly recommended. Some general tips for you as a host of a meeting. Whenever I send around a link for a meeting for my students, I give them this list of what is required to take part in the meeting. And this actually makes it much easier to have people prepared. So you can tell them, please join with a laptop, because sometimes I have students joining with a smartphone, and of course they're not able to see the presentation on it because the screen is just too small or the quality is so bad. To use loudspeaker and microphone, and the use of the headset is highly recommended, because otherwise you hear all the background noise, and it's actually really annoying. And it's so easy just to have headphones. They have to check their audio settings in advance, and they should have a stable internet connection. And if they do not have it at home, encourage them to go to another place, even alone. I guess that's possible. Because this makes it much easier for you to deal with your students. Whenever it's possible, ask someone to co-moderate your seminar or lesson. Today I have to thank Amida, because she helped me a lot with the chats and answering everything. And it's really hard to track everything that's happening in the chat room. There's chat, there's reactions, there's facial impressions, and you are just presenting something. And in face-to-face meetings, you might be able, especially if you're a woman, to get all the factors at the same time. Of course,
no discrimination, please.
That was just a joke. I know that multiple tasks at the same time are not possible, so it was just a joke.
Great.
No, just a joke. But if you're able to track this in person, I guess this is a really good skill as a teacher, but online it's almost not possible. So whenever you have a co-moderator, use it. And most important thing, and Jochen also emphasized on this, inform yourself about different tools, also about privacy issues and so on, and try to figure out what's the best or what's working for you. I guess there are many lists, many comparisons that you can find online on which tool does make sense for which purpose.